Hey guys, look what I got. That's right, I got the HSD Zero. It is 1100 millimeters. It's 4S. We've got a 30 amp ESC. It's got a 3-bladed prop. It's got retracts. It may have flaps too. Let's quit talking. Let's open up the box and see what's going on inside. One of the things that stands out to me the most about this kit so far is how well everything is packaged. We've got plastic around everything. Now, other manufacturers that I historically purchase, they don't do that. In fact, a lot of their stuff comes scuffed, dented, dinged as a result. Now, this still might be dented and dinged underneath the plastic, but added protection, that's extra effort and that's appreciated. Now, the other thing that stands out is this is a really nice manual. I wish I spoke Chinese because it would help me more, but I do really like how nice this is. And we can see the CG. As long as I know where that's at, I should be good to go. Alright guys, here's a look at it inside the box. As you can see, it's packaged quite nicely. Alright, so now I'm going to take this stuff out of the box and we're going to take a closer look. So here is a look at the drop tank. Looks pretty nice in scale, and when I say drop tank, I don't mean that this actually drops like my FW190. Up next are the horizontal stabilizers. As you can see, we've got that aluminum rod right there to keep it all together. Nice and strong. This foam is actually really nice. Feels a lot like the 11 Hobby foam, which is very, very good. Now we're getting into the really important stuff. Here we've got some main screws. I think these mount the wing onto the fuselage back there, along with some spare parts, which is always nice. And of course, these are the decorative guns that go on the front of the wings. I probably won't put these on, at least not till I get the maiden done, but I probably will put them on in the future. Alright guys, here is the prop and the nose cone, along with the screw. And I think the screw is what goes through there and holds this on like so. It also comes with a very interesting decal kit. This may have some significance that I'm not aware of. Otherwise, it looks like it might be a mistake. Alright guys, so this is the canopy. It looks like I may need to glue this on. I don't know for sure yet, but that's what it looks like preliminarily. If I could say that right, that would be sweet. And here is the antenna. It looks like it mounts back there. There is a screw on the end there, but there's not really a hole. So I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I may need to use a little glue if I've got to use some glue around the perimeter here anyhow. I may just shore it up with that. Alright guys, so this is a look at the fuselage. This is beautiful. This plane really is a beautiful plane. It's got the black, just looks really nice and shiny. Look at that motor in there, guys. Just a beautiful motor. Just that black cowl looks really good. I hope that the camera is doing it justice because it just looks nice. And here is the access to the battery bay. So pull that little trigger, this pops up, and we've got a big battery bay. Lots of room to do what we need to do. Put in a receiver. I like a lot of space in my fuselage, so that's always nice. These walls are a little thin, but I think we'll probably be okay. And there's a look down in there. Yeah, we've got lots of space to work with to get the CG right, guys. Here is a look at the top side of the wing. I mentioned the guns a little bit earlier. This has a nice little plastic spot, not just sticking it into foam. It's got a nice plastic spot to stick the guns in. to me, that's good. I like that touch. And of course, I really haven't seen any blemishes yet on the paint. And I'm looking because I kind of want to let you guys know if I see anything, but so far so good. And I really like the flaps on this. This is the most scale version of flaps I've flown with. I've got the 11 Hobbies planes, two of them, the T28 and the P51. Both are very nice planes, but they don't have the realistic flaps, so that is cool. And of course, here's our aileron over here. Yeah, this looks good. This is kind of cool too. My retracts, they cover themselves up. I wonder how durable this is going to be long term. We'll test it out and see how it looks. And obviously, look in the comments too, because over time, we'll have this dialogue and we'll figure some of this stuff out. But so far, so good. That is the only blemish that I see so far. It's on the underside and nobody's going to see it. So that's good news. That is good news. All right, guys. I think I am going to start the assembly process and I'll report back soon. You have to look close to see what I'm going to show you here, but it's pretty important. I've got a little bit of one of these clevis bands that I sliced. I sliced it in half and then used that as a washer to hold this nose cone on securely. It was a little sloppy before I did that, so I needed a kind of pliable washer, and that was my solution. Part of the reason, I believe, is we had a little bit of foam that went in the adapter that this screws into, and instead of thinking before I acted, I pushed that stuff way down into the bottom of the prop adapter. Now, looking back in hindsight, I should have tried to use some tweezers or something to get that stuff out, extract it, but I didn't, so I had this workaround. So hopefully you will be able to get that foam out if your plane has it. If not, here is an option for a mod. Alright guys, so this is where I decided to mount my receiver. That way there was plenty of space up front for my battery. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is this thing. This is kind of a little brains, if you will. I'm not sure what the exact name of it is off the top of my head, but it does control the rate at which the retracts do their thing, and we'll get into that here shortly. But it comes sitting in between either side of this wing. That's all one piece, and it was kind of a bugger to figure out how to get up in here. So what I ended up doing was taping this all together, taking a picture of it to make sure that everything was right, and then I unplugged this, snaked the wires through, and then I just velcroed it in here and of course replugged in those wires. I was kind of scratching my head at first thinking, how am I going to get that thing in there? Because I tried to get it to go in the front to help with this CG issue that a lot of people are having with this plane, but that wasn't going to work. It just flat out was not going to work, and the battery that is needed for this plane was not going to work with that, so that's why I went with that solution. Alright guys, here it is all put together. That is, except for the drop tank and the canopy. I haven't glued that on, but everything else is assembled. And I did a little motor check, did some control surfaces checks, flap checks, all that stuff, and everything looks good. And this thing does look good. I'm not sure if the camera does it justice, but temporarily I set it next to my other planes, and it looks just as attractive as any of my others. That includes E-Flite, Park Zone, 11 Hobby. All of those look great, and this looks just as good. So now we are going to take a quick look at the control surfaces in action. Alright guys, here is a look at the control surfaces, or at least that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to start with the elevator. There we go. There's not a ton of throw. I expected a little bit more throw on the elevator. I've got it at 85% on the dual rates with 30% expo. This design just isn't, at least on the stock hull, it doesn't have a ton of throw. It should be okay. We'll find out during the maiden flight. Here are the ailerons. Looks like we've got some nice throw, and that is at 70% dual rates. Here we have the rudder. Here's a look at our flaps. And this is a different kind of flap, so the numbers are way different than what I'm used to. So we'll do that again. I've got it on a 2-second delay. And I've got some elevator mixed in there too. This is a look at my flap setup settings. Alright, so since we're testing everything, let's give a little throttle, see how that motor sounds. 4S brushless motor. That sounds beautiful, guys. That sounds beautiful. This is a look at the retracts in action. Very, very cool. Very scale. And up next, we are gonna wrap this thing up before the maiden flight. Alright guys, I'm gonna wrap this thing up real quick. This overall is a fantastic plane. It has amazing potential. I like the looks. In fact, I will put this next to any of my other planes and it holds its own in the aesthetics department. So that is fantastic. The one thing that could be a possible issue, and it's discussed online in reviews, is the center of gravity. It's got a short nose. Luckily, it's got a big battery bay to be able to make up for that. But I'm going to try and maiden it with a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, 4S battery, and push that thing as far to the front of it as possible, and maybe even add a couple little weights to that too, because trying to get that target of 70 millimeters for the center of gravity has been tough. It wants to be a little tail heavy with that aluminum spar. It's got weight, teeter-tottering in the back with that. So that's really the only thing, probably the main thing, in addition to that nose cone issue. There's no reason why there should have been foam in the prop adapter, and for me to make that mistake. That shouldn't even have been an option. So that is it. Check the comment section, or excuse me, check the description. I'll have a link on where to get this. In addition, I will flesh out more pros and cons as I fly this. That's usually what I do. So I can't give a complete review right now because I haven't flown it, and flying it is the most important thing. So with that, like, comment, and subscribe. GB Linden out.